Let's get started here. There will probably be a couple people show up. There's one right there. I actually expect maybe two more. Okay, so what we want to try and get done today is, I'll show you what I'm talking about here on the plans. Whoops. Okay, so what I want to try and get done today, and I haven't tried to do too awful much today because I have a funny feeling this is going to be difficult to do. Okay, so it's this false back right here. Okay, there's a rabbit cut along this edge and cut along the far edge that fits into this groove here. Okay, so the trick is going to be to get this guy to fit in there. And in fact, I think Zeph did this last fall. This is one of the harder parts of this project, is getting everything assembled. If things fit too tight, it's going to be a very difficult thing to do. They fit too loose, you're going to see gaps, which we don't want to see. All right, so I've already got the rabbets cut on this piece. One thing I neglected to do, according to the plans, where is it? Right here, is at the top of the dado for the false back, we're supposed to square that off, which makes sense. The top of the board's square. But I think, as opposed to doing that, I think I can just go ahead and round off this corner up here real quick with a chisel. So basically today's going to be trying to dry fit this thing together, everything with the exception of these pieces, the dividers that go in here. Okay, so let's take a look. Here I got two more people coming in. Sucrose and Logan. All right. So let's take a look at this and see what we got. I'll see if I can find a sharp chisel in here, which may be a little bit difficult to find. So I think it's going to be somewhat difficult. I don't know why I think it's going to be so hard to do, but getting this thing disassembled, then assembled. All right. So I got my little pad here, so I can make a note if I need to about what I'm doing. Okay, which is all right. So I think I can go ahead and just take, I'm going to mount a little bit off these upper corners. So as opposed to squaring the dado, I can round this upper corner. The plywood falls back. So a little chop there. Hair it away. It'll take a second here. I know this is probably about as boring as it could possibly get, but we do not have ton of choice. So, all right. Make a little cut here, all the way around. It should be. Is this a good idea? Like this? Put your hand like this and chiseling? No, it's not. Ask. I can't remember the guy's name. Years ago, I had a student do that chiseling, slid right into the meat of the palm of his hand, doofus. The sad thing is, a week later, he did the exact same thing again. So that just goes to show you how crazy some people can be. All right, that one's good. Walk this around. Get a little notch. This plywood is not the nicest stuff. It's actually pretty cheap. There's a void right there, which is making it really difficult to. As much as I want to put my hand up there, I'm not going to avoid it. I was telling you, first grade this morning, that if for some reason I were to do something really stupid, like get a job teaching for a living, if I was to do something really stupid and get hurt here doing this stuff, at the very least, you guys would have something stupid you could post online about Brandon hurting himself. The only time I hurt myself in the shop would be the time that I'm on camera. All right, so let's take a look at how we want to do this. I'm thinking we might just be able to remove one side. Let's see. Hopefully it's not just hard. I think it's a fairly good fit. All the way around. Wonder, is it possible? Got my idea. Okay. So let's lay her on her side. And I'm hoping that all I really have to do is knock this side off. Drop it in, right? That should work, right? You guys see all the tear out and everything on this plywood? It's really bad. But the nice thing is that's at the back. So, all right, let's see how my dado works out. Oh my goodness. You guys can go ahead and say it if you want. Brandon, you're really good. That fit in there beautifully. what we got here. These guys. Get away as any and getting out of camera's picture. Come on, drop. No, that was too easy. I knew it couldn't go that well. Let's see what you guys are looking at. Not, why did you just drop it? Monkey's uncle. Look at that. That's something. All right, so you can lay this down without doing too much damage. And see if we get some clamps on. So the reason I want to lay it down on its face is because everything on this cabinet, these shelves, the top, things like that, they sit flush with the front edge of the sides. So if I lay it face down like this, then I should, theoretically, be able to get it a little tap down. I'll look at that. You guys notice something? I don't know if you can see it or not. Let me zoom in on that. There seems to be, seems to be a bit of an issue. Take a look. Not long, I want to show you what we're talking about here. You don't understand it at all. Okay, so I can zoom in on that for you. All right, so this is what's bugging me here. I want you to look at, it's gonna, this gap right here. If you look, the back of this shelf, okay, so this is what's weird. See this gap right here? The back of the shelf isn't flush with this. Same thing here, same thing here, all right? And I think I already see what the problem is. And if you look at the other side, come on, you silly thing. Sometimes it's just moves so slow, and other times it just books. Okay, when we look here, we're flush right here, and right here. Now there's got to be a reason for that. Why is this end pushed forward? Okay, now let's do something real quick. Let's just get a quick, just a 30-second under 9 inches there. 30-second under 9 inches there. So that's not it. I think I see what the issue is. I think. And it's weird because the sides were done on the CNC.
So that makes absolutely no sense to me. This is one of the reasons I didn't try to get too much done today. I just wanted to make sure these things fit. All right. I think I know what the problem is, maybe. Let's see here. Wow, that's weird. 16th under a half. That's a hair over a half. Not enough to make that much of a difference. Wow, can you guys see that? That is really messed up. We got to figure out why that is. Okay, any ideas I would greatly accept. What you're seeing right here is this, the back of this shelf not coming flush to this rabbit, okay? Whereas on the other side, it is. Wow, this camera is so slow. There we go. And we'll take a look at this side over here. Okay, so that is really weird because flush the front minus just a hair. So that makes no sense at all. If the sides are the same width, well, hold on a second. 8 7/8. So it could be 8 7/8. It looks like sometimes when these things happen, it's a combination of 4 or 5 different things being a little bit off to make one thing look a lot off. Okay, but so far I don't see anything, unless for some reason I can't imagine these shelves are wider at one end than the other. I've got what's that supposed to be? What do we got here, guys? According to the plans, let's go by the plans. So, there's Isabella. So let's take a look at the plans real quick. Okay. So according to the plans, these shelves are all three the same, C, C, and C. So there should be 8 and 5/8 wide. Okay. So let's see. And the sides are 8 and 7/8. Okay. So let's see what we got. All right, shelves are 8 5/8. Sides are 8 and 7/8. Okay. 8 and 5/8. 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 All right. The side's supposed to be 8 and 7/8. 8 and 7/8. 8 and 7/8. So why? The only other thing it could be is that the rabbit that runs along the back varies in depth. And look at that. That's what it is. So that's a CNC issue. Okay, that's what's wrong with the file. All right, so we can see what's happening here now. I'll show you guys up close once I can zoom it in so you can see it. Okay, I can hardly see it. That's great. Anyway, so okay, so here's what's wrong. Ta-da. hard to work facing. All right, so here's what's wrong. Okay. Cannot see that screen from where I am, folks. I'm sorry about this. Okay, so here's what we're looking at. If you look at the depth of this rabbit right here, this is what's going to accept the back, okay? I can check the depth of the rabbit with a sliding square. Okay, that's like just under 1/8 of an inch. Let's look at it from the other side. See what you're seeing. Here's my rabbit again. Okay, so I don't know if you can see it or not, but so this is, so if that was just under 1/8 of an inch deep, that's a hair over 1/4 inch deep at this side. Okay, so that's what's wrong. That's why we're seeing. Let me back that out a little bit. That's why we're seeing two different reliefs on the back of those shells. Okay, so there's one. All right, so what we're looking at here, those are basically flush with the back, right? Am I looking at the right side? Okay, back of the shelf, right? It's flush with the rabbit. So I believe this is the correct depth of the rabbit, okay? So if that's 1/4 inch, that means it's going to be 1/4 inch back. But if you look at the other side, and I'll move it over so you guys can see it. Wow, sometimes this thing does not want to move. Come on. All right, and there's our other problem. Okay. And that's this. This rabbit is not as shallow or is not as deep at this side than it is at the other side, which is making it look like these shelves aren't the right size. So the nice thing is that's relatively straightforward to repair. Okay, all I really have to do is to alter the depth of this rabbit to match the depth of that rabbit. That's really easy to do. All I have to do is set the dado saw and create a new rabbit on this edge. Okay, so that's what we need to do. We need to fix that. And let's see what we can do here. Okay, so that's easy enough. This is one of the reasons you dry fit. Okay. And when you dry fit, which, oh yeah, that looks pretty good. That's, take the time to really look at the parts you have in, not only the parts you have installed, take the time to look at the fit of the parts, and take the time to look at the fit of the parts that still need to come in the way. So we can fix that pretty easy. We're gonna flip it over. All right. Get that side off. Okay, so we need to recreate the rabbit from the other side on this side. I'm sorry, I didn't zoom out. You guys can see what the heck's going on. Okay, so we need to recreate these rabbits. So here's what we're going to look at. Okay, let me turn this just a bit. Okay, so when you look at the dado saw, all right, this is how the board's going to sit on the table on the dado saw. Okay, so this distance here, the width of the rabbit, okay, it's controlled by the fence location. Okay, the depth of it this way, right? It's controlled by the depth of the blade. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna just take 2 measurements on this guy using the sliding square. The first thing I'm gonna do is go for blade depth, all right? So I set that to the rabbit I want to match, okay? I don't know if you guys can see that, but that's what I want to do. I'm gonna set my blade depth to that. So I'm gonna real quick go over there and do that. And you always go up with the blade to meet your depth. Never crank it down. Okay, and the next is the distance, location of the fence. And that's going to be about right at 1/4 of an inch. Okay, so I'm going to move this over there so you can see. I think I am. And I think what I want to do is do it on a piece of scrap wood first to make sure we get it right. Okay. Wow, that really zooms fast. All right. So I've got my distance to the blade. Then what do you want to call it? I don't know if that's going to be enough. Zipper's out. I do have to get the zipper out. Otherwise, things more than we already have. All right. Okay. So we're going to try this on a piece of scrap wood and see how we are. And it's going to be relatively flat here. Let's joint that edge first. A nice flat edge. So really all I have to do, okay. Oh my gosh, why is this thing move so slow? I think maybe when I'm zoomed in all the way it moves slower. I don't know. Come on. Wow, I'm going the wrong way, folks. I'm taking you around the back of the shop. Yeah, it's possible warpage could happen. For example, that's actually a good point. On the drill press cabinet that we're doing in first period, it's all plywood. And some of the plywood, especially the plywood for the sides, is really cheap stuff. So there is a warp in that, and I'm trying to figure out a way to counteract that right now. All right, so really all I have to do is set this piece right up against that, and if it matches, we're golden. Okay, so I could go, I don't have the same thickness, so that's going to work. Okay, so that's good. little too deep that way. So I'm going to take just a hair off of it. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and run the side, and we'll see what we get. All right, I'm not going to bother taking it over there. Just take a second. So I'm going to take the camera over. And there we go. That should be what we want. That looks pretty darn good. All right, so let's put it back together and see what we got. Come on, drop in there. I'm gonna turn it around this way so I can see it. There we go. All right, so now what we do is what we're doing before. We take it, set it face down, going backwards carefully. Okay. We can take and we should be able to wrap it up. That takes care of it, I think. Now, it may seem a little odd to you, but I don't know if you can see it from here. There's quite a gap here, okay? That's on purpose. There's another piece that's going to mount here. It's fairly wide. It's going to actually be the stop for the camber door, so the camber door doesn't flop all the way out. So that came from actually reading my plans this morning before I kept going, oddly enough. I think that's going to be just great. I need to take a hair off the. I'm sure you guys can't see it, but when I start looking at this, what I want to avoid, wherever possible, I don't know if you guys can see it or not. I'll try and zoom in on it so you can see it. So this is what I'm talking. It's really a luxury to be able to sit here and do this with kind of all the time in the world and nobody else in my way and not waiting for any other machines or anybody to get done with the machine. And I don't know if I'm going to be able to see that, but you guys see it. These are the kind of things I don't like to see. If the freaking thing would focus, I'm going to go down a little bit and see if it'll focus. That's up, dude. And we'll see what happens. It's not going to focus for some stupid reason. Maybe if I'm totally on this, it will. There we go. That's what I wanted to see. Hey, you guys see this little gap right here? This is the luxury of having a shop for yourself and not having to wait for anybody or anything like that. You guys see this gap right here? Okay, that gap's created because the length of this tenon is either a hair too long or the depth of this dado is a hair too short. Okay, now I don't really see that too much anywhere else here, but I can take just the tiniest bit off the end of this little tenon, okay, and bring that closed. All right, that's something I want to be able to do. So there's little bitty things here and there that bug me that I can work on, but it's the little details in this class that that we want to pay attention to. I don't really see too much other than some chip out and stuff like that. Actually, we've got another gap down here so you guys can see it. It would not surprise me if that same gap exists at either end of each board. Let me go down and zoom out, down. So it goes faster when I'm zoomed out. There we go. I just learned something. So that little gap I was telling you about over there. Wrong way again, Brandon. We've got the same situation here. Okay. So this gap, all right. Now I'm really tight right here, so it may be this rabbit, and it looks like it might be, so I may have to change the rabbit on this back a little bit. But these are the kind of gaps I don't want to see, right? I want to get rid of these. I want to figure out why they're there, and I want to get rid of the gaps. Now, when you have to be careful is when you get rid of a gap in one place, or you're altering the overall dimensions of it. Now, it may not seem too much like right now, like a 16th or 32nd inch gap, but if I start making little corrections all over the place, 16th here, 32nd here, 64th there, it could have an effect overall on the cabinet. It could throw it out a square. It could be a number, it could do a number of different things to it. So I have to pay attention to that and try and make sure that what I'm doing to one piece, I have to do to the rest to try and ensure consistency in the cabinet itself. Because this cabinet being square and everything being 90 degrees, everything fitting right with no gaps, is going to be really, really important because of this timbre door, because we have a door that slides up into this thing, okay? It's going to be really important. When you look at this door, this timbre door, where do they have it here somewhere? Okay. When you look at this thing, it's got to fit right. I mean, this thing is going to slide right behind that false back we just installed, okay? If everything's not just dead on perfect, this thing's going to bind up as it goes. If you look at this, there's not a lot of room for error the way this thing slides up into the groove in the back. And that groove in the back, see if we can show it to you. They're not showing it there. Is this guy right here. This is where that timbre feeds in from the back, right in this opening slot. So it feeds up in there all the way around, okay, after this thing is assembled. So we want to make sure it's right. So I'll start taking some looks at it tonight and see where we might be able to make some changes, some tiny little adjustments and stuff like that. And then I think the next thing we want to work on is going to be these dividers. Okay, so theoretically, I mean, basically, this entire cabinet, for the most part, can be just about completed before we even go to the timbre. Okay, so that's going to be interesting. I don't think, yeah, they're adding the drawers after, but I don't think that timbre can be. Let me see what they do for a back. Is there no back on this? No, it doesn't look like there is. I don't see any 1/4 inch ply. Small upper drawer bottoms, that's all that is. So there's no actual back on this thing. There's the false back. Wait, yeah, there is. Yeah, there is, right there. Right there. Why don't they show it somewhere else? Here it is, right here. M case back. Yeah, there has to be. We just made that 1/4 inch dado or rabbit to accept the back. Okay, so
I guess I gotta get some 1/4 inch, oh, plywood. All right, so that's it for today, folks. All I need you to do is go ahead and enter your name in the chat so that I know you're still here. And you guys, it's Monday. Thank goodness it's half over. Thank you for being here. I very much appreciate it. I look forward to seeing you guys tomorrow. Take care of yourselves, and we will see you tomorrow. Okay? Bye now.